Maestro, round two.
Hi.
Round two.
Sorry, once again, it took me, I had to reinstall it for some reason. I'm not quite sure why.
Don't worry. They do updates all the time, and it, depends on the operating system, and don't worry. We're good to go.
Okay. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
I love how you're dressed. I love this.
I'm glad.
So sweet. I love the kerchief on the head and everything. It's beautiful. So anyway, it would be good to refine some of the things from last time. I really want to spend even a little bit more on the subject of you being the first operatic female conductor. Would you say that that is a true statement?
I guess you're right.
I can't think of anyone else who is doing, not to mention that form, but additionally, and being a female, what year did you really begin, working professionally as a maestro?
As a conductor?
Yep.
Somewhere around 65.
There you go.
68 is when you formed opera orchestra. Maybe you were conducting before that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
I think that is the truest we can get to that statement, that you were the first there. Additionally, the first that I know of, or that has been written about and put out into the wide world of what we're doing, music, that has created, found the funding for their own orchestra, their own organization that went so very long into, and with so much success. So not only did you pioneer being a female in the form of conducting, but a person who and female who did that exact thing of starting your own orchestra, having it be so massively successful. As a young person in school, your name was in our ears all the time. All we ever wanted to do was to be able to be heard by Eve Queller. That's all we wanted to do. We knew we would make it if she could hear us sing and deign to give us any critique at all. I don't think that the world of opera, but let alone the world of classical music, talks and celebrates enough that incredible achievement that you made. And that is the main reason that I really wanted to just have a little bit of your precious time, was just to say thank you, first of all, for doing that for all of us, conductors or not, women or not, for giving us and for giving New York, especially New York City, the most special gift of having their own opera orchestra. So I'm just going to begin with that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I had no choice. I wanted to conduct, and I went to Juilliard and I went to Manhattan and tried to register, and they turned me down. I could come in to study, but not conducting, because there were no women in those conducting classes. And so I basically started my own orchestra so that I would have something to conduct. And then I was very, very fortunate. I received a phone call without ever applying from the Rockefeller Foundation that I would be supported for conducting. I received money twice a week, and they asked me if I had a teacher, and then I went to Rosenstock and asked him, and it all went from there, and it all was like a miracle of some sort, really, to have
let me ask you
from a grant from a foundation.
I would like to know about the Rockefeller Foundation. How did that phone call just happen?
It did. I don't remember anything else. I do remember I rented when Lincoln Center opened. I went to town with the town hall, no, Alice Tully Hall, to try and see what the acoustics would be like. And I went in and I conducted a little concert with some ensembles, and Alice Tully herself attended the concert. And she came backstage to greet me and she said, I want you to come to my apartment. I want to speak with you. And I went to her apartment and she was very enthusiastic about me conducting. She wanted to support me and she created events in her fantastic apartment, which was 2 stories on Central Park South. She
Right.
created a series of dinner parties where I would be introduced to the people who would support me. And there was this dinner parties that a big crowd of people would be there for cocktails, and at a certain snap of the finger, all but 16 people left. And those 16 people went around the table and they talked to me, and those people became a board of Opera Orchestra of New York, which I was started. My husband was a law student and he learned how to form an association that I needed, and that was it. It was Opera
And that's how
Orchestra
it began.
of New York, and it literally took off. I myself don't know. Of course, Alice Tully helped me, and
Yeah, it's the stuff dreams are made of. That story is like so inspiring. Wow. What an event that must have been. I love the way you tell the story when it's just a snap of a finger, suddenly everyone was gone and whoosh, the magical board appears,
it
all
was very
orchestrated by
organized. It's very gracious and very nice. And those gentlemen that I hadn't met before became members of the board. And Opera Orchestra then had a board,
that's
and they were contributors. They contributed.
let me ask you how, let's go back. How did you become a career musician? So did you always want to be a concert pianist or a conductor? Which is first, chicken or egg?
Well, it all started when I was like 5 years old. I started to have piano lessons, and it took off from there. And I fell in love with. I've been listening to the opera on Saturdays ever since I'm about 3 years old, and I fell in love with the works. I bought the scores and I started to learn them, and just did whatever I could. By the time I was 13 or 14, I had some jobs applying. I was actually accompanying some dance classes, ballet, and some tap. And as soon as I could, I sort of got into the accompanying of the opera world as best I could. I learned what I could, and
So you sought to accompany singers.
that's what I wanted to do. And I had some jobs accompanying voice teachers, and that's how I met. I met Nikolai Getta. I met who did I meet?
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker. And I told them I want to do a concert in Carnegie Hall of arias. I have never done this before. Would you sing with me? And they both said yes.
Just like that.
Well,
Best singers ever.
They knew me because I was playing for their lessons.
But lots of accompanists play for lots of lessons, and not a lot of singers like that would say, "Oh, sure, I'll sing."
They both said, "Oh, sure."
I mean, that's also like stuff dreams are made of.
You had already conducted an Alice Tully. I'm gonna roll it back just a second.
Yeah.
And say something that you used to tell me, that you might remember when I say it now. She was a prodigy pianist from age 3, and she
Here
thought
we
she
go.
could be a
truth-
concertizing
The truth.
pianist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we-
She thought she could be a concertizing pianist, but she really loved the voice. So she wanted to be an accompanist and tour with singers. And it was inappropriate at the time for a woman to be on the road with a man. And so she couldn't get those gigs. And the women didn't really want an attractive woman at the piano. So that didn't work either.
Wow.
And she found herself at a real crossroads as to, okay, what does that mean?
Mm.
And you were working as an accompanist at the City Opera and at the Met, I think, both.
The Met Opera Studio.
The
Yeah,
Met
I
Opera
didn't get into
Studio.
the Met, but the studio I did.
Right.
And we did performances with piano. They sent us around with a cast. And that's how I met some singers too.
But
that-
you also saw that there was sort of a dead end with that, because a woman was not going to make it to the podium there.
Yeah.
And the prospect of being a rehearsal pianist forever, given her skills and her talent, was not, she had great aspirations, whatever they were
Yeah.
going to be. They were pretty great aspirations. And your girlfriend, after whom I am named, Liz Cole. Did you ever meet Elizabeth Cole?
No, name only I know, but I don't know her. No.
Yeah. She suggested to you that you study conducting.
Yes, probably, yeah.
And you said, good idea. And then she hit all the walls with that until
Yeah.
she started her own company. Okay, I'm gonna.
That's so then the walls continue to get met, and then instead of what I think almost everyone else would do, which is quit because how much you can't push, it's a wall. You just said, well, if it's not there, I'll do it. It's like necessity, right? The mother of invention. We need this thing. It doesn't exist, so I'm going to do it. But that spirit also, that's incredibly unique to you.
Well, it's not my nature to give up.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I would say, especially give up with music. I might have given up dancing or whatever, but music was such a part of me, and opera was such a part of me that it was just my life. It probably still is,
Yeah. You also did a fair amount of symphonic conducting as well. Is that right?
Did I do symphonic conducting?
Cleveland and Philadelphia, that counts.
Philadelphia Orchestra. Yes, some orchestras invited me just out of curiosity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I did also New Orleans. Where else did I conduct? Some across the United States and across in Paris and France. And
Oh, that's right.
she traveled with me too in Europe and South Africa, I think we can.
I didn't go there, but you did.
You didn't go to South Africa.
You
with
did.
me.
So talk to me about a few things. Number one, what were some of your most memorable and favorite performances, and why? And also, there was the story about Monserrat Caballe wanting to introduce you to the world, basically to Europe, and it began in the Liceo. And I love that story, and I think people should hear it. But firstly, some of your favorite performances and why they were so special for you.
Well, first of all, I was at Carnegie Hall for some reason or other, and Monserrat Caballe introduced herself to me. I had not met her. And she said, I want to see you. I want you to come speak with me. I want to speak with you.
Hmm.
And I went to the hotel the next day. I knocked on the door, and she had plans for me. And she invited me and brought me to Barcelona. to conduct for her Vespi Siciliani
Okay.
at the Liceo.
Verdi. Okay.
That's basically started. And she wanted to take me all over Europe, but they wouldn't take a woman.
Mm.
She told me that, and she said, "Not cry, you the greatest." And through her, of course, I met Jose Carreras, who was
Amazing.
also in the concert, the Vespi Siciliani that we did.
Just a side note, that cast right there. Wow. How special. My.
Well, she was incredible, I
Yeah.
would say, because I had no way to meet her. She came to meet me. She came to Carnegie Hall.
Another
I know.
OMG moment for you. You continue to have these stories of like, what? They just show up like pot of gold at end of rainbow. So she came to you.
Yes,
My God. Okay.
I was totally crazy about her voice.
What year would that have been, or in what time? Where were we in history?
Well, it was before I started Opera Orchestra of New York.
No,
Was
it
in
wasn't before.
62,
No. It wasn't before. It was in the mid-70s.
mid-70s. Okay, she
Yeah.
knows.
I think you might have gone to Barcelona with her in maybe 74 or 5.
74. Yeah,
something like
and then
that.
again in 78.
And your first concert in Carnegie was 72. So
72.
you were already well established when she came looking for you at Carnegie.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So you're already, so the scenario is you're well established. New York loves you. You've gotten incredible musicians under your belt, singers you've worked with. You're exactly that, very well established now, seasoned. And that's when the wonderful Monserrat Caballe comes to you, wants to work with you, offers also to bring you to Europe. And in the mid 70s and later 70s, even theaters in Europe were saying, oh, we don't want a female conductor. That's not so long ago, you know.
It's true. Yeah.
So it's just we've come a long way, but not yet far enough, honestly. But sorry to tell you, guys and gals, but it still needs to continue. But I just love the story of your life. Your book is wonderful, and you highlight all of the most amazing moments in there. Yes, but I thought this one thing was missing, because you're not going to toot your own horn about it. But I just want to say to the planet that this is a great luminary in front of us. Maestro Queller is a great luminary, and she did trailblazing legacy moves. Okay, as the kids say, GOAT, GOAT, greatest of all time. Moves that just have shifted the landscape. And I just want to make sure that we just settle that score once and for all. And okay, it was Eve Queller. Let's not mince words anymore. It was she. So tell me about some other favorite performances that you had. Everybody that was amazing sang with you.
Well, I think when my first Jenufa was one of my most beloved. I went to Czechoslovakia to look for the orchestra parts, the materials, and to hear it in the theaters in Czech. Yeah. And I tried to study the language. I love the language. I just love everything about it. So beautiful. And then my first opera, I think, was Rienzi that I did. Is that the first, the very first?
No.
Uni? No.
Africaine with Tucker. Your first season was Africaine and
L'Africaine with Richard Tucker, yes. And
what was it with Geta? I forget.
Tucker and Geta in the first season?
Yeah.
Yes, and Geta canceled at the last minute. He got sick. We did a rehearsal, and was that William Tell?
Oh, William Tell.
William Tell with Nikolai Geta. And the two understudies went on without a rehearsal. They were amazing that they did that.
It's those are incredible shows, and they're not often done. And would you say that in crafting opera orchestras seasons, you wanted to look for operas that were not necessarily standard repertoire?
Well, I had to look for operas that were not being performed at the Met.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who would want to come to a concert when you could go to a stage performance at the Met? So that made no sense. So out of almost 100 operas I did over the 4 years, I had
40,
to always
40, 60 years. Ma.
Okay.
60. I mean, really. You mentioned one, a favorite, Dalibor.
Dalibor.
Can you tell us about that? I don't think anyone knows about it. And you not only know about it, but you adore it.
Well, I love it. I love the music. Okay, Smetana, Dalibor. I love the language. I went for great lengths to learn how to pronounce it. I had Czech singers, as many as I could get, to sing it, and then to have a cover cast also that I always had a second cast that understudied, and then we went maybe to New Jersey and did a concert so they could get a chance to sing it. I took the orchestra on tour.
So the Dalibor was in which year? Or at least
When was
That
Dalibor?
was also with Geta.
1977.
77. Okay.
Yeah, with
Year I was born.
Nikolai Geta, and he got
Wow.
sick, and the 2 understudies went on.
So, and those understudy casts were typically American students in American conservatories, US or Eastern conservatories, or where did your understudy cast come from?
Well, the understudies came from American conservatories. Well, let's say that one of the first people I found was Paul Pliszka. I heard him sing when he was very, very young, and I remained in love with his voice. His voice never broke, voice never left him. And so he did, I think I did maybe 20 performances with him. I put him in anything that he would be in, that he could fit in, and he learned all these things for me. And I was just very fortunate that I met him at the time I did,
Let me ask you about what conducting feels like. What is it like? I'm a singer, I'm a teacher, I'm an arts consultant, administrator. I don't know what that feels like. And also why someone wants to conduct. What is that desire? And then what does the discipline of it feel like? What is it to want to be a conductor?
Well, as I say, that's not what I started out wanting to do, but it hit me, it happened to me, and then I loved doing it. It's very physical. It's very tiring. Considering I've done some pretty long operas.
Yeah.
It's just the music is part of your body.
So would you say that being the conductor is a vehicle, so to speak, in which to be able to express all of the love of that music that is in you intellectually? That you have this giant machine of beautiful musicians with all these sounds in which to, create, so to speak,
Right.
the dream that you have of that music, the fantasy that you live of that music in your mind. Would it be something akin to this?
Was it what?
Would it be something akin to that? Like, anything like that? Like it's just that you have all this love of this music inside of you, and you have this this race car in front of you that can live out the dream of the music in reality. Does it
Well,
feel like you're able to craft the music with the orchestra?
well, as I look back on it, and my daughter confirmed maybe, I almost had no other life. I
Yeah.
was so involved in the music. In the very beginning, I knew I had to do something combative about the female thing. So I started, my first few concerts were without score, from memory. I conducted a bohème from memory in maybe Alice Tully Hall. I don't know. I started memorizing because I thought I had to go further to be acceptable at all. Some of the
This is
critics
the story.
mentioned it and some of them ignored the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the singers, sometimes the singers objected because they thought I wouldn't be able to help them if they forgot something.
Wow. Awesome. I didn't know that. So you memorized several of those first seasons, the scores, so that you could not just be accepted as wonderful, but that there would just be no question that you belonged where you are.
Well, all of that, yeah.
That's exceptional. That is excellence in real life. That's what excellence is. No one told you to do that. It was never a prerequisite. It was you chose to do that willfully because you knew that you needed to put a flag down, so to speak. It's just so impressive. It's just so so awesome, really. I love it. I love it. Tell me this before we go. First of all, thank you so much for giving me just a piece of your precious time. Any moment that I've ever been with you has been not only charming and pleasant, but you not only educate and enlighten any time I've ever met. So I imagine it's the same with anyone. You manage to educate those who meet you, you enlighten them, and you bring joy and peace to them. And so just being in your presence is a creative and spiritual experience in itself. And you do all of this without any real knowledge that you're doing that. You're just that cool. So,
And I bring up what was one of my most beloved operas was The Pearl Fishes.
Please do.
The Pearl Fishes by Bizet, really beautiful piece of
Who
work.
were your singers?
Well, it was
Really
Nikolai
live.
Gedda, and I think he got sick for that one.
No. He was there.
He was there.
Oh, he was
Okay,
there.
Nikolai
Boy,
sang The
was he
Pearl
there.
Fishes.
Gedda.
Brisson.
The
Renata Brisson.
Zurga was
Brisson and Christiane de Pierre.
Renata Brisson. Okay.
Yeah, that's
And your Leila?
which?
The Leila was
Christian Edapierre.
Christian
Ada
Edapierre.
Pierre. Yeah, Christiane Ada Pierre. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, you discovered talent. You have made certain that opera in New York had it was king in a way. You know, it became the city because of you. I mean, the Metropolitan Opera has, of course, been the pinnacle in a way of opera, especially when you think of it as a global entity. But you put, with opera orchestra's excellence, New York on the map in a way that no other city has been able to do. Then
I was very lucky. I was very lucky. And also the people I learned from in the very early stages, Renata Scotto, conducting Renata Scotto in a bel canto opera. I just cannot tell you what this.
Just speak to that just for a moment. What knowledge did she give you? Was it the way she sang phrases?
The whole thing, it's just the phrasing, the colors that she changed, and the way she used the Italian language also is incredible.
You know, she's a great hero of mine. And I want to tell you a funny story. We were coaching Lucia, and I must have been 26, I don't know. And we were working, I think, on the duet, right, with the brother. And I don't know what I did to the end of the phrase, but she was excited and cheering and, you know, doing all this. And then the phrase ended, and a very disappointed face. And we were all silent for a moment. Like, I could have been Craig Kedder playing chorus. I'll have to ask him if it was him. And we're sitting there waiting for a moment, like, what is she going to say? And she says, you know, it's so nice, and then you ruin. Why you ruin? So, Maestro, I don't know. I don't mean to ruin. She's so nice. And then you do so nice, and then you ruin. You ruin it. No, why you ruin? So now it is hashtag in my studio, why you ruin it. And it's because of Scotto. She taught me how to sing bel canto. Listening to her do that performance, I don't know if it was Genoa, where it was, but I think it was also with Bergonzi. It was L'Elisir d'Amore. And pieces of it are on YouTube. And the way she sang Prendi, I mean, you imagine following Bergonzi after Una Furtiva and then bringing the house down with Prendi. Like, you would have to be some soprano, some artist. And the way she sang the language.
Yeah.
Language
Yeah.
and the expression of the language through the vocal line was the biggest lesson. And that's where I learned, oh, so you can sing the words very clearly, very beautifully, with excellent technique, and be incredibly expressive as an actor at the same time. Masterful. So I'm glad you brought her up.
I was with her very, very early on in my conducting. It was the I Lombardi with Scotto was only the third opera I did. I did William Tell, and then I did the L'Africana. I did it in
Italian.
The first time I did it in Italian, and later on I did it in French. And then the I Lombardi, that's the third opera of my reign. Yeah. So,
well, thank you so much for being you in your excellence, in your drive, in your dedication, in your passion, and whatever that fire that was in your belly that just kept burning hot all of those years. That has, you know, sometimes I know in your own world, you're just living your life and you're burning your own fire, so to speak. And maybe you're not aware of what you have done, but it's so widespread, the love of you and the love of what you have represented. And the biggest thank you ever. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to your beautiful daughter, your talented, wonderful daughter. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.